Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, stories of growth and impact in association with CNBC-TV18.
Hello and welcome to this special show titled Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, stories of growth and impact in association with CNBC-TV18. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and joining me in a conversation around how a global technology and business process services company can create smiles through great people and technology is R. Sri Krishna, CEO and Executive Director of Hexaware. Keech, great to have you on board this talk, and you have a lot to smile about considering the fantastic 2022-23 that you've had, and of course many more to come. So let's start our conversation by reflecting on some of those key milestones and how they're powering your sort of growth plans going ahead.
I joined Hexaware about 9.5 years ago. So, couple of quarters will be 10 years. I'm hoping that by the time we would be about 4x of from when I joined. So that's a kind of growth that we've had. And, we crossed billion long time ago. We're quite a bit bigger. I think there are 5 factors that, because of which I feel very confident we can sustain that kind of growth for a long time. First, to do with the industry. Every client I speak to in any industry, any geography, if you go high enough up, they say, we want to make our business a platform-based business. It literally, it could be a garbage disposal company. They want to make their business a platform-based company. There's not enough talent in this world to make that happen. Gen AI or no Gen AI.
Everyone wants to be plug and play, they just don't know how to do it.
Everyone wants to become platform-based. So the industry has got tailwinds forever. But then, additionally, how do we differentiate and gain an unfair share of the market every year? How do we continue to grow at double the industry market rate? There are 4 factors. One, we continue to innovate and improve our services, the quality of services, the nature of services. For example, just a few months ago, we hired somebody as a new data and AI head from a hot startup called Treedles. The second, we continue to acquire higher quality customers on a quarter-by-quarter basis. And third, we continue to improve our talent quotient. We simply attract better and better talent each quarter. Fourth and final, we're still small enough that the vectors available for growth for us are tremendous. We're still small in India. We're still small in Middle East, 2 of the fastest growing markets in the world. We're still small in Germany, one of the largest markets in the world. We're virtually non-existent in China, Japan. So there's lots of markets for us to grow
Lots of unexplored territories. But looking at the 4 pillars that you have stated, I want to start with innovation, because Hexaware is linked to sustained innovation. But the question is, with some examples, if you could state how that innovation quotient is powering some new initiatives and powering your approach to digital transformation. Since you are an enabler to so many, how is that IQ, that innovation quotient, making a difference for Hexaware?
If your innovation creates new business and revenues for your customers and brings smiles to them, you're going to do well. So let me give you an example or two of that, right? So we had a client, a retail customer. We have a retail customer for whom the average bill per checkout is $7.
All right.
We introduced new payment mechanisms in their app, which within 2 quarters increased it from $7 to $9. That's innovation of introducing a new payment that increased the revenue per transaction straight by 30%.
Ease of payment, therefore more business coming from
frictionless payment and increase business by 30% for them. Now, if it does that, then we're going to continue with them forever, and we're going to gain market share in that client forever. Right? The second example I'll give is, not to do this, you have to have a core of the enterprise that is solid, that is agile, that is able to support all these front-end innovations. And so we have, big financial institutions and banks that have been unable to solve their tech debt for years, in some cases more than years. And we have this platform called Amaze, which helps customers modernize their landscape with 60 to 80% automation levels. And there's a client who saw it the first time, said, this is going to be a game changer for my company, right? Because all the front-end innovation, ultimately there's a hard ceiling if you're not able to transform the core. The third example of innovation I'll give is not just for what we bring customers in, how we run our business. Last year was a year of difficult growth for everyone. So profit defense, everybody cut bonuses, everybody cut variable pay. But we didn't. We actually paid out more than normal in both increments and variable pay. That's an innovation of how we do business.
All right. To the second pillar, which you originally stated, which is when you are acquiring higher quality customers, let's also not forget you need high quality employees to service those customers as well. So I want to look at the expansion plans that you have and the workforce development aspect as well, because you're expanding into, I believe, Dehradun, Bhopal, Birmingham. There's a massive expansion plan happening. So how does that fit into this ethos of developing the company, catering to higher quality customers, and the potential that you see, especially in tapping these new locations?
Yeah. So first, outside of India, inside India, two different sets of motivations. Outside of India, the biggest motivation is proximity to clients, right? We want to be in every major time zone, every major language zone, every major regulatory zone. And we want to be next to our clients, right? So Birmingham, for example, speaks an English which is even different from the rest of UK, right? So proximity is important. Within India, there are three reasons: talent, cost, and culture. Okay, the culture is less obvious, but I'll come to that in a second. Talent, if you think of it, Dehradun is, I think, the 65th largest city in India by official population. But if you put that city in the US, for example, it'll be 10th or 12th largest. So it's still a very substantial talent base that people there, and we've been there for a few months, people love Hexaware because, big company coming to town, hiring great talent, they love to work for us, and that's the culture aspect. We're seeing more propensity to be in office, work in office 4 days, 5 days a week, which I think helps build culture, than in some of the bigger locations. And the added bonus is all this comes at a lower cost than some of the bigger cities.
All right, but looking at talent, cost, and culture, from the prism of workforce effectiveness, how are you investing to make sure that your workforce is locally ready and globally ready? It can work in any situation, cater to any kind of client, and works effectively with its global cohorts.
Yeah. See, there is a hard talent aspect and there is a cultural and soft aspect. The hard talent aspect, I think, like everybody else, we invest a lot in training and perhaps more. Okay? But that alone is not sufficient. I think what's going to happen, especially in a post-COVID world, that over time there is going to be a trust deficiency that happens. If everything and everybody stays 100% remote 100% of the time, there's going to be a trust deficiency that builds. So we are working hard to encourage, to mandate young people to be in office. In fact, for anybody that comes out of college, they have to be in office. And that's working well for them. And it's also an investment because it's not enough they're in office. Their managers have to be in office. Their managers have to be in office. Somebody needs to mentor them, right? It's also important to create a purpose-driven organization. And we believe our purpose of creating smiles for our customers is very powerful. It's something like you've
sort
just
of
broken
narrowed the mission statement to a very human aspect of the way we live and work, right?
That purpose is very important, and accessibility. I mean, if you come to our campuses, offices, you'll find that anyone, any point of time can walk up to me, to our CEO, any one of our leadership team. A person who's joined Hexaware out of college yesterday can do that. And that accessibility also creates a very strong culture.
whether it comes to workforce development or whether it comes to addressing the client's needs, Gen AI is spreading its wings substantially. So I want to know how Hexaware has given AI a new lease of life. If you can give some examples as to how you're using these technologies like Gen AI in a differentiated way to solve problems, whether it's for your own company or whether it's for your own customers.
I spent like most of a day last week in the OpenAI headquarters in San Francisco. I listened to several people, including Sam Altman, their CEO, Brad, and he said very nicely, Brad, that what we want to do is to be able to deliver the following. Anyone can ask anything they want done in as simple a manner as possible. And we should be able to deliver that.
All right.
Now, let's pretend they will get there. Now, what does that mean for our industry? Is that a threat or an opportunity? How do you think through this? Now, even to begin to understand whether it's a threat or an opportunity, or how do you create an opportunity from this, the first step is education. That every person in the company, starting from the top, starting from me, every leader in the company needs to understand the fundamentals of the technology. So that's really the first step that we've done, because we are in the beginning of a multi-decade journey on this front. And if you don't educate yourself, you're going to let it go past you very quickly.
Hexaware has an ambitious Gen AI training program, which is great because you're making sure that your employees are ahead of the curve in understanding what Gen AI brings to the table for themselves and for the customers. So if you can expand on that.
Yeah, I already spoke about the importance of it, but let me give you two things, right? One is a broad view. We have 15,000 people trained right now out of our 18,000, 19,000 tech workforce. I'm pretty sure, in a quarter or so, it'll get to 90% or greater, right? The second thing, every one of our top 100 managers, including me, are fully trained and certified. So it comes in both directions. In fact, it started from the top, because we felt like if you don't do it yourself, you don't have the right to ask anyone else to spend the time learning.
So from top to bottom, Hexaware is Gen AI ready. On that note, we'll take a very, very short break on Hexaware presents Trailblazers, Unplugged Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC TV18. Stay tuned, as we've got lots more to discuss with our special guest, R. Srikrishna, CEO and Executive Director at Hexaware. Stay tuned.
Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC TV18. Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC TV18.
Welcome back to Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC TV18. Let's dive back into our talk with R. Srikrishna of Hexaware with a look ahead on workforce development, economic shifts, and balancing innovation with sustainability. So, Kish, let me look at the employee well-being and development aspect, since we tapered off from Gen AI and how it's transforming your workforce. Now, despite economic challenges, Hexaware announced over 100% variable pay and significant increments. So, I want to know from you, how does this commitment to employees contribute to the company's success, and how is training integrated in this approach?
Ours is a straight line industry that our success is straight line tied to our talent. Our ability to attract, motivate, and retain the best talent in the world is going to be directly proportional to our long-term success. So we said, why do what everybody does, which is, go for profit defense in a tough year and cut bonuses and postpone your increment cycles? We said, we'll do what is right for our employees, and hopefully
investing in your people.
We are investing in our people. We've already seen results. I mean, our attrition levels are close to pre-COVID levels, not for every single skill, but for at an aggregate level, they're close to pre-COVID levels.
When you look at the fact that you are a people-first policy, that's evident. Now, the question is, from a positive employee experience, or when you look at fostering continuous learning, what are you doing on the ground which makes these programs effective? Because a lot of organizations do it. So, what is Hexaware doing differently to create positive employee experience, and of course, the learning aspect?
Let's talk about learning first, right? I think we are at a point of time in technology where you can't teach fast enough. What you have to teach is the ability for people to learn continuously and be curious continuously. If you take Gen AI, by the time you come up with a training program, it's already stale because something is being released new every week.
That's true.
So that's the culture you got to create. How do you make people curious, want to learn something all the time? At the same time, there are still going to be some people, and this happened with automation 10 years ago, it's happening with Gen AI now. People are scared. Is it going to take away my job? You have to do your bit to remove that. Honestly, I think Gen AI is going to create more jobs for our industry. Not even close. It will create more jobs for the foreseeable future.
Looking at your global workforce, because when we look at so many countries, and I believe over 40 nationalities, now the question is, how do you create a globally cohesive workforce and make sure that the values that the companies stand for are transmitted across the global workforce? What do you say makes Hexaware good in this aspect?
The first thing I'll acknowledge is work in progress. I think we have an opportunity to improve, and we are every week, every month, right? It's, we have a diversity officer that is from Netherlands. She does a great job of, showing us the mirror as a leadership team, where, sometimes we don't see what it takes for us to be truly multicultural, right? If you look at our countries, right, India is the largest by employment, US is the second, Mexico is the third, Philippines is the fourth, right? So we have, and then we have quite a few others, but if you just take our second, third, and fourth, US, Mexico, Philippines, substantial employment, several thousands in each of these. Now, what are we doing to make sure that we assimilate our employees in each of these countries better, to act as a single global AI-first digital workforce, right? It's, one way to do it is to say, hey, it doesn't matter where you work, you're going to build a way of working that in some ways promotes remote working. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're part of a team, you're very focused on an outcome that we need to deliver for a client, right? And your contribution to that is the only thing that makes a difference. But there are other aspects that, like I said, is learning and work in progress.
How is Hexaware sort of adapting to these economic shifts? And when we look at outsourcing, investment in digital technology, what are the cues you're kind of looking at?
Call it 7, 8 years ago, digital became the most important buzzword. I think in the next several years, it's going to be AI. So digital is going to become somewhat passé, and everybody is going to be in a arms race to brand themselves and pivot to AI. I think both digital was correct and AI is correct going forward. But what 23 economic cycle taught us is almost exactly what the 2009-10 economic cycle taught us, that during downturns, you need diversity and breadth in service offerings. Outsourcing services that deliver high efficiency and cost savings to customers, that fund your digital and AI initiatives, are crucial. So you saw companies in 23, and that's continuing till now, that didn't have the breadth of services struggle more. So I think that is something crucial to bear in mind through economic upcycles, that there'll come a time when you need breadth in services.
ESG is also a very emerging as a very popular theme right now. So your thoughts on delivering leadership with positive ESG impact, when you're delivering technological solutions with positive ESG impact, how are you going about it? How is Hexaware going about it?
So three things I'll say. First is that I think the importance and acceptance of ESG is not quite uniform across the world. It's become politicized, especially in the US, right? So it's not, the importance to clients has waned a bit in the recent past. Now, that does not change how we look at it, but in terms of how they are, say, consuming services pertaining to ESG has changed. The second thing is that for most countries in the world, I'll say virtually everywhere, especially the younger workforce, we spoke about creating a purpose-driven organization. I think an important part of the purpose is to feel like they work for an organization that is environmentally and socially conscious and contributes. Right?
All right.
And it's very important for, so in many ways, employees have to feel that they work for a socially responsible organization. So we do a lot, okay, but I'll give one example that I think is important for the season, right? So Olympics is coming up. 6 grams of gold can, raise a nation's worth. So we've been big supporters of Olympic Gold Quest. I, in fact, recently joined their board, and you may know last year, it's not our success, what each of the organizations we contribute to, their success. They've been immensely successful. We also contribute a lot to, education and healthcare of children. So we feel good, but I think the biggest power of efforts such as these come when you're able to multiply money and people effort.
This has been a great conversation, and with that, it's a wrap here on Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC-TV18. Keech, it's been great to speak with you and understand how this innovation-led journey towards becoming a people-first company that Hexaware is working towards is sort of serving as an inspiration to all the viewing audience and, of course, other enterprises out there. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.
Hexaware presents Trailblazers Unplugged, Stories of Growth and Impact in association with CNBC-TV18.